When it comes to games, I can always find at least one nice thing to say. Sonic 06 has an awesome soundtrack. Shaq Fu has some pretty damn nice graphics. Zelda on CDI? Have you ever even watched a YouTube poop? I mean, come on, that's too easy.
My boy.
Even Cheggers Party Quiz has, okay, I can usually find at least one nice thing to say. Bubsy 3D, though? Well, so let's rewind a little. In the early 90s, Sonic came out and it was super popular, so a load of other companies made their own furry attitudey mascots. One of these companies was Accolade, with their character Bubsy. So they put Bubsy on the Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo, and the game sucked, but it sold well. So Bubsy became Accolade's mascot, and he starred in a couple of other games that also sucked. And eventually they attempted to bring their character into the next generation. Bubsy is 3D in Forbidden Planet. Alright then. Yep, Bubsy certainly is 3D. Yep, 100% 3D. I mean, totally. Bubsy, right here. He's 3D. Check him out. He's three-dimensional. There are 3 dimensions right here. 3 axes. Check them out. There's an X, there's a Y, there's a Z. Yep, All of it checks out. The checklist is complete. Bubsy is 100% bona fide, certified, 3-dimensional 3D. Unfortunately, Bubsy isn't much else other than 3D. I don't think I've seen another PS1 game that looks this sparse. Barely shaded flat polygons populate the screen and nothing even remotely looks passable for PS1 standards. Crash Bandicoot was already out at this point. Jumping Flash 1 and 2 were out. Ridge Racer Revolution was out. I get that 1996 was early days for the PS1, but come on, really? This doesn't even look or run as well as Star Fox. I mean, do I even need to tell you this game looks terrible? Is there a big demographic of blind pause break reviews fans? You have eyes. You can see these horribly bright colours, you can see this abysmal frame rate. I recorded this footage in 60 FPS and guess what? You can't even tell. And this camera just, honest to God, makes me feel nauseous. It gets caught on things, it swings around, whenever you jump into the air it pans down, which I guess in the aforementioned Jumping Flash was also a thing. But it didn't do it as quickly or erratically in that as it did in Bubsy 3D, and well, Jumping Flash was first person, so you kinda needed that functionality to figure out where you were gonna land. It's astounding how badly Bubsy 3D executes its own camera, though. It's angled too shallow when you're on the ground, and too much when you're in the air. Oh, and speaking of poor execution, let's move on to controls. Put it like this, Croc Legend of the Gobbos has tank controls. This has tank stuck in mud with no tracks controls. It's a very difficult subject to broach unless you're actually sitting there playing the game and you know what I'm talking about. But it's not like you can just think about where to go and press the buttons and boom, you go there. Instead, every time you want to change direction, you have to stop, turn yourself in the direction you want to go, and then run. In the later levels, have fun trying to do all of that without getting hit by a projectile in the process. And that's just if you want to go forward. Suppose you want to go back for some reason. If you hold back on the D-pad for almost a full second, Bubsy will start walking backwards without the camera showing you anything behind him and probably bump into something or fall to his doom. It's probably more worthwhile to just turn around or jump whenever you want to position yourself, but jumping's no better for that. Bubsy's weird octagonal shadow, I guess, it's not really an indicator of his hitbox, which is dumb. If my shadow is over an enemy, I expect to land on that enemy and not take a hit. Oh, and what if you want to move to the side? Either hold L2 or R2 to repeatedly hop, which is really slow and lines you right up for enemy fire. In all honesty, when it comes to these controls, I would recommend this game for anyone looking to get into game design, as an example of what not to do. You might think, oh, well maybe the underwater stages are better, but they aren't. Yeah, they're easier to control, sure, but you can't attack unless you do the atom aiming thing. Oh yeah, that's a thing you can do, which, well, good luck trying to hit anything with that. You're more likely to just keep swimming and praying to God that you don't end up getting hit by something. And the music. There isn't even a single track in this game that sounds good. The opening levels sound like generic cartoon music, then the instrumentation decides to change to orchestra hits. Did no one at Accolade even take a GCSE music lesson? If they did they just sit there screwing about with the DJ function on the Casio keyboards and not actually doing anything? I learnt this in year 7. Don't use orchestra hits as your lead instrument, it sounds awful. The closest to an even okay melody is Escape from Wall A's music in the second to last level, but good luck hearing it over the washboard jamboree that seems to come and go at random in every level and never sounds good. And by the way, in case you weren't aware, Bubsy's gimmick to make him stand out from the crowd was that he would spew hilarious one-liners.
So, you wanna be a video game star? Now, what would a platform game be without platforms? Ah, one-stop shopping! Just like Mom used to make! Find 31 more of these, and we're like yesterday's clams! Chowder here! Oh, look! An arrow! Aren't these game designers wonderful?
No, Bubsy. No, the game designers aren't wonderful. They should be lined up in a row and all shot in the back of the head. No. Maybe I'm overreacting, you say. Maybe I should just calm down and take a step back. But I assure you, none of this is exaggeration. I tried to play Bubsy 3D from start to finish, but look! In the final level, the enemies aren't even textured or animated. I mean, what? How can I be expected to put in the effort when Accolade and Eidetic certainly haven't? I just don't see how anyone involved in the project at any point thought this would be okay to put on shelves. This is a statistical anomaly. It is confounding that this game got a single sale. Was there really the demand for Bubsy 3D? Did people want this that badly? I cannot stress enough that this game is one of the worst things that I've ever played. Literally everything is wrong. Even the font is terrible. Seriously, the font in the menus. How do you screw that up? Pac-Man got that right in 1981. Why is this a problem in 1996? How hard is it to make a font look decent? The PlayStation, as a console, as Sony's first attempt, is worse off for having Bubsy 3D on it. I am genuinely serious. This is one of the first games I've ever played where I have absolutely nothing nice to say, where I cannot find even a single positive element about it, a single thing that is even okay, let alone good. If aliens came to this Earth and told me they wanted to know what video games are, and I showed them this, I'm pretty sure they would destroy all life on Earth. The graphics are disgusting, putrid, untextured rubbish. The camera seems to be controlled by a drunk guy. Controlling Bubsy's movement is like wrestling with a hog with rabies. The voice acting is atrocious in every single instance that it comes up. The music is even more so. Even on the game over screen, Bubsy, honest to God, is overjoyed that he finally gets to leave. But hell, not even the game over screen works properly. You can't continue. You need to reset your console if you get to this screen. That's how poorly programmed this is. Stay away from Bubsy 3D, no matter what cost.